Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to this KETRON presentation of the event. And we're going to be combining some very unique features today. Again, this is AJ at KETRON, wishing you all happy Easter for those of you who are believers. And today we're going to focus on two particular features, the live chord and also the performance, and how you can achieve certain things by using those particular features. So we have a question that comes from a Yamaha Genos customer, and he's trying to ask or trying to find out on the event, how do you use like additional sounds or voices and control them like multipads, like what you have on the Yamaha products. And we're going to take it a step further in this demonstration, talking about how you can use an external sound using a preferred song of his by Don Henley, The Voice of Summer. That's the example we're going to be using. And how we actually bring that about. How does that actually come about on the event? So we have a drum mixer feature, which we can use in there to emulate the beginning of that song, which starts with just the hi-hat. So if you go in here to the screen, if I show you the top of the screen real quick, what do? We went in and we touched the drum mix function, okay? And that gives me access to the drum set, all right? And I can instantly mute the kick and mute the snare drum. All right, so that when I play the chord, I'm going to start off this, all you're going to hear is just the hi-hat. Over here, I'm going to reduce, take out the bass, take out the chord, take out the real chord, all right, the real live chord. So when I play a chord, you just hear that hi-hat, okay? And then, of course, I gradually bring in the various parts. I can unmute, you know, the snare, for example, and then finally unmute the kick as well, all right? And again, we're also doing something very interesting here on the voices, because you can see there's so much to do for this particular song. I'm going to be using the voice to A, B, C, D, which in the Yamaha world, that translates to your one touch, all right, for this customer in question here. So the voice to A, B, C, D translates to your one touch. And what that means is, as I am changing the variations on the panel here, the lead voice of the instrument is also changing. So for variation A, I'm going to have this guitar sound. And for variation B, I have a rock solo. For variation C, I have that. And for variation D, okay. So back to variation A. So if you notice, my voices are going to be changing automatically because I'm using the voice to ABC, which is that feature over there, which allows you to program 4 voices which are tied to the variation. Now, of course, if I need additional voices, that's where my performance can now come in, right? So if I go to my performance, like I've done for this particular song, and I go to set number 2, you can see on the screen right there, if I zoom into the screen, you see that I'm using those particular voices and that particular style. So within the performance, I have the capability to be able to use a particular sound or voice, or to also be able to use a particular style. I can combine them on that screen. And the good thing about using a performance is that you now have everything at your fingertips, right? So I can call up a particular style, I can call up a registration, I can call up a voice instantly by using the performance. So for this particular song, I'm going to tap into that too at some point in the demonstration. But let's get back here. So we're trying to assemble the song. We did the first part, and I'm going to gradually bring in the bass, okay, by using the slider over here, and then the different chord part, and then the live chord. Now, if you notice, there's a section of that song where, let's just put that live chord in there, and I'm going to assign that to the variation. So when I start playing the song, if you notice, when I did this, okay, hit the variation. Now, a lot of you are asking the question, but AJ, how did you do that? How come the chords are not changing and you're not using the chord log? Well, that's the mystery when you're dealing with these instruments. Once you understand how to use the instrument very well, you can pull up some tricks and hacks. So how does the live chord on the event work? What it is you create your guitar or your synth or whatever particular sound, and you name it according to the chord. So for an example, if I go here, I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see how what we did with this chord. Let's go into my screen. All right, and I'm going to go in here and let's go into the user modeling folder. That's where you put in your various files, and we're going to go into real chord, okay? And I have a whole bunch of stuff we're working on here right now, but let's go into the one in question, which is boys, right? So you can see there's a folder. You create the folder, all right? And that folder is named, you're going to give that folder the name. I'm going to go into more detail about this later. I do a dedicated video on how to create your own live guitars and live chords. And I believe the factory is going to put out something of that nature as well, too. But just for you to understand what it is that I'm doing here, you make a folder, all right? So in this case, we'll call it boys, and 170 is the tempo, the original tempo of the recording or the files that are in there. And when I go into that folder, if you notice, I have 3 files in there, right? So B major, C sharp major, and D minor. So what have I done is I've actually created wave files, right? So that when I play these particular chords, only then do those wave files play. So those wave files are going to play based on the chord that I'm playing. Now, but that particular song, that musical phrase doesn't change, right? Regardless of the chord you play. So what I did was I took the musical phrase and just gave it the same, different names, but it's the same wave file. So I took that wave file and I named it major underscore B. And I did another one again. I named it major underscore C. And another one again. I name it major underscore D. So that when I play any of those particular 3 chords, that's what you're going to hear, right? And normally, again, like I said, you have to be a little bit creative and think out of the box. Usually for the live chord, you want to record in every single key so that when you play that particular key, the live recording of what you're looking for is what is generated. But in this particular case, we went out of the box and we want to use just this particular wave file, but in those 3 instances only, which means that when I play other chords, those wave files will not be heard, right? And then what I did was I came over here. If we go back to the arranger and zoom in on the screen again, if you come over here, you have a very nice feature when you go under the view and modeling, okay? And go to settings. So I'm going to be in my chord. I'm going to go to settings. And under the screen here where it says real chord to variation, you turn those functions on, which means that I want that real chord to only be heard when I press the variation button, okay? So this goes out in particular to the customer who's going to purchase an event. He already has, as a matter of fact, and we're going to load this into his event as his Easter gift before delivering this to him. So he won't have to do all this anymore. It's already been done for him. All he has to do is go to registration and recall that setting, and all of this stuff will be recalled automatically. But I'm just walking you through to show you how this can be done. So the wave files are turned on only when the variation button is on right here. So I want the real chord to variation to be turned on when variation A, B, C, and D, when the variation is on in all those circumstances. As a matter of fact, in variation D, I do not want that sound to be played, right? So I'm going to turn off the D there. So if I go to the screen, you can see what I'm talking about. So this means that while I'm playing in the variations, while I am playing the various chords, okay, if variation A is if the variation A button is on and you press variation, you will hear it because that's on right there. If variation B is on and you press variation B, you will hear that lick. But if variation D is on, I don't want to hear that lick when this variation button is pressed. I want other things like horns to come on when that is pressed. So with me having done all of that, let's now listen to how this is going to sound when I do the whole thing, okay? So I get out of there and get back to my normal screen. Here we go. Notice that particular pad sound did not change, did not change, because it's playing the same wave file, just in different chord instances. Of course, I can take it off whenever I want. See, it's gone right there. Now I can go to my performance and I can want to, I can recall a particular sound if I wanted to. There we go. If I want to play with this. A to B, C, variation to B, C. So that only comes in when I play that particular chord. Only when I play that chord do we hear that part coming in. Try again. Here I go. So that just gives you an idea of what you can do with your live chords, okay? Being able to create your own live chord parts, which we're going to go into detail in another video, but also being able to use performances and having everything at your fingertips. More videos coming up shortly. Ciao.